Alright, in this video I really want to focus on some layout items, and when I say layout items I'm talking about what I see over here as well as what I see up here. And I'm going to start with just what we see over here. Right now this information to me is quite a mess, and the reason I say it's a mess is visually I can't figure out at a glance what I'm looking at. Obviously I see some phone numbers and some information about the company and things like that, but really at this point I find this kind of ugly, disorganized, and we're going to clean that up quite a bit. So in order to affect what you see over here where you're looking at all these different fields, that is called, I'm going to go into the setup. Let me clear this out, and we're going to go into the setup, and what you're going to be looking for is under the object that you're working on, which is the contact in this particular case. You're going to look for the page layouts, not the lightning record pages, but the page layouts. And one of the things that's I find a little bit complex, unnecessarily complex right off the bat in the Trailhead orgs is you have all these different marketing, sales, support, like different layouts for different purposes. And that can be extremely useful, but for Trailhead I personally feel like they should just start with a single contact layout. So what I'm going to point out is we're working in, if you look up here, we're working in the sales app, so I'm going to look at the sales layout, and I might assume that this is the layout that we need to fix to make a difference when we're working in the sales app. Well, what I'm going to do is double check that and say, let me look at the page layout assignment. Let's see what's actually being assigned here. And what you're going to notice is that there's actually a contact layout, just a basic contact layout, is assigned for almost everything except for certain profiles. So without getting into a lot of confusion here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, most orgs when you start are not going to have all of these various profiles that you're going to want these different looks for. So what I'm going to do is I just clicked edit. I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm just going to make them all the sales layout. Okay, actually I'll do everything. I'll just go ahead. That way we can just focus on the sales layout, and every change we make will apply to every user at this point, and we aren't even using the other ones. So now when I go to page layouts, the one I want to work on is the sales layout. And when we look at this, you're going to see the information that's on here is looks pretty simple here, but remember the contact info is 3 lines and the assistant info is 2 lines. So we start to get this kind of clutter effect. I'm going to refresh this now that we've kind of assigned this layout to every user. And what I don't like about this is I would like sections, and I want to be able to see information in sections. So in this page layout you can drag new sections down and label them. So I'm going to call this account information, and you can choose 1 or 2 columns. I like the 2-column look, but you can try different things and you can switch these later. And then this is actually something that has been problematic with Salesforce for years. It always does a zigzag pattern, even though you might choose a top to down pattern. Maybe in the newest release they've fixed it, but this has been an ongoing problem. So I'm going to try it, and let's see if we can go top to bottom and then left to right at the bottom of a column. So we choose that, and I'm just going to say, okay, account information would be the account name. It might be, let's see if there's anything in here that would be other account information. Not so much. Maybe we could say like what department in their business are they, things like that, but you might see that more as the individual. So then I might pull a section down here and say let's do contact info. So I do a section here. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's hope that it works on the new release. But let's put in their name, let's put in their title. You might say department belongs here. I'm going to put like things related to them, the assistant, the related to, I'm going to put all their assistant info. Actually, I'm going to leave this off because this is just for the highlight bar for me, just to be able to see it at a glance. And this is really just for the highlight bar, but I probably want to be able to actually edit who their assistant is and their assistant's phone number. We're actually going to talk about this later in another video. Let's get some of their basic stuff over here. So I'm not so worried about their level in the organization, but I'll go ahead and put that up here, and then I'll put all of their phone number stuff. So I don't really care about the owner of the contact as much. I might even put that at the top here just to kind of get rid of it. You can certainly get rid of it with this little circle with a line through it and remove it. Probably for me, I'm not worried about their birth date. I might be interested in knowing how do they get into our system, so the lead source. And again, maybe the account info up here is a bad place to put this, but just for me getting it out of the clutter of everything else, I like having it up there just so I can see right away how they get into our system. And then you'll notice how this is kind of grayed out. It says visible on edit only. You can actually click that gear tool and say I want to see this as just a regular section. So now I see contact information, contact information. I'm just going to change this to say, oh, this is like the standard one. So what I'm going to do is let's just switch this around. I'm going to say this is the outreach info. So this is their phone number and email and things like that. And what I'll do is I'll take all this. I can shift highlight all that and pull it down at once. I can shift highlight all of this information, drag it up there, and then I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to shift select all of this stuff. I'm going to say their home phone number is probably not something I'm likely to have. Their mobile, I don't know, maybe mobile and phone is all I really expect to have. Fax may not be something I'm really expecting to have. And so now I've got phone, mobile, email. I've got some secondary, what I might think of as secondary fields over here. And then you'll notice if I hover over this little grid, I can actually drag this above or below other sections. So the contact info up here, I've got account, contact, and then the outreach information. And then I like the address information being a separate section. So I'm going to actually say treat it like its own section here. And let's look at the difference here. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. We're going to look at this and look at how it looks right now. And then I'm going to hit refresh. And at least I hope it looks better. So there's my account information, my contact information, all the outreach info, all the mailing information. And then even at the bottom here, this system information, that's really just stuff that Salesforce populates. So I'm going to go into the sales contact layout, and I'm going to add one more section to that. It actually exists, it just is grayed out. So I'm just going to click the gear tool and make that its own section. We'll click save. And that's just one more thing. And more than likely, when I refresh this, more than likely what you're going to want to do is collapse that, basic information at the bottom. But sometimes you get curious, like, hey, when was this record created or last modified? So now you can actually collapse things that you don't use that often. And let's say that you already have their name and things like that up here. So this might just be if I'm trying to edit this record, it might be good to have information that I can change the number here or in their their assistant information here. Having this editable where these are not editable in the compact layout at the top. So I think that looks a little bit cleaner than it did before by putting sections in, and you can ask your users what information do you want in what sections and have them kind of sketch it out on paper and then just create that for them so it's the most readable and understandable for them. I always go to the users because they're the ones that need to find the layout appealing and useful. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Leave comments or ideas for videos you want us to make, and hit us with a like and subscribe to hear about new content we'll be releasing soon. Until then, we've provided some video recommendations at the bottom of the screen. And if you need more immediate help, you can book a consultation by using the link in the description, and we'll be happy to help you out.